Call this Caddo Parish Commission work session agenda to order. Mr.
Yeah, I have 7 yet. Yeah, I have a quorum quite.
I was going to get you to call roll call.
We don't have quorum.
Okay.
Can we make some calls and see if we have them coming?
Yep.
I could call Steven. Is Steven the person we're expecting?
Yes.
Let's get somebody from the.
I just didn't want to start late. Hey, look at that. Just on time.
Perfect.
Hey, Commissioner?
Everywhere.
Good deal.
Good to see you.
We have an over and under on the number of points of clarification you're gonna bring up, but I have the under and John has the over.
Whatever that means.
It's John Lee.
Oh, you trying to be funny?
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I'll laugh after. All right, John.
Can I just call all their names at once, like we used to? Or okay, so like I'll just call them all back to back, and they'll click. They'll just say it. I'm just so used to the Zoom pace now. I think it's a different order. The same thing, different way.
Regular meeting agenda.
Just to let everybody
Testing.
because we are a little bit used to the Zoom streaming now, and this is back streaming the other way, that it's through our website and still through Facebook, so people can still watch it, but this place is, but your mics are active right now, they're not muted, and, so we are streaming now.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, just wanted to clarify this. I said we mute our work sessions.
Sorry, I think that was just, it's correct on one.
Perfect. Commissioner Brill, thank you for coming in. I'm just saying thank you for coming in. We're gonna get rocking with
Who's supposed to be here? Oh, which one says me? Well, that's not where we used to be.
Do we?
Well, I think we better stay where we are, because my spot is
Now that you're
contaminated now.
sat.
Oh, no.
just move the sign.
Change the nameplate at least.
Or we could just, I'll just,
Miss Nations, will you move their signs, please?
Yeah.
Just for today.
That'd be
If we
easier.
move their signs, I have to shut down the computer and reconfigure
Oh,
it.
okay.
Oh.
Well, guys, we're gonna take a quick recess and allow them to clean their stations and then swap.
Roy, do you want to switch places with me, because our signs are,
I'll get you a clear, right?
I don't think, I haven't actually cut anything.
I agree with that.
Is that okay with you?
We
Roy?
sanitized all the area today.
So now they
I'll
sat
take my
down in
paper.
one place.
You take your stuff.
You didn't carry no COVID, I know you didn't carry.
No, I've been
I'm too short.
lying on the carpet.
Just slide it right up.
Yeah, that's it.
So am I.
Grab your papers, because I took these. Oh, yeah, there's my phone. Thank you.
Mr. Settle, please put on your mask.
I think we used to sit.
Thank you, sir.
Everybody had to have a mask on.
Miss Glover doesn't want your cooties.
You just put the signs up in the wrong place.
Okay. All right, commissioners, staff, let's, Mr. Everson.
All right, Commissioner Hopkins.
Here.
Johnson. Jackson. Young.
Here.
Burrell. Here. Cawthorn. Gage Watts. Taliaferro.
Here, sir.
Atkins.
Here.
Chavez.
Here, sir.
Lazarus.
Here.
And Epperson. You have 7 present. You do have a quorum. And just FYI, I just heard from Commissioner Jackson, who said he's almost here.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Everson. Commissioners, please silence your cell phones. We will have our invocation led by Commissioner Lazarus, followed by our Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Taliaferro.
Heavenly Father, we approach the harvest of our sowing, knowing that some of the seeds we have sown have not produced the benefits we had hoped for. But we pray for the courage to weed out the mistakes. Show us the way to plow deeper, and till the ground of service more thoroughly. We meet here as Christians in a common cause, trying to live daily the things we strive to teach. May our efforts result in stronger friendships and closer ties to each other, and especially to you. Amen.
Amen.
All face the flag. Let us pay our respects to the greatest country on earth. Civilians may place their hand over their heart. Veterans may render a hand salute. Repeat. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I know we do have one agenda addition.
Yes,
Hey,
the agenda edition that we have today is ordinance number 5980. This was inadvertently left off when we changed the agenda from a teleconference to an in-person agenda. And this is an ordinance to amend Volume 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the Parish of Caddo as amended by the Caddo Parish Unified Development Code by amending the zoning of property located on the south side of South Lakeshore Drive and 360 feet east of Jolly Napier Road in Caddo Parish from R17 Single Family Residential Zoning District to RA Rural Agricultural Zoning District, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Recommend for addition to the agenda?
Second.
All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Epperson and second by Commissioner Hopkins to expand the agenda and add the agenda addition. We have to let this open up for public comments. I'll declare this opportunity open for any public comments that would like to speak on expanding the agenda to add the agenda addition. I see no public comments. I'll declare this public comment section closed. Mr. Everson, we'll go ahead and vote on it now.
Great. And we're going to do a roll call for this one. Commissioner Hopkins
Yes.
and Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson is not here yet, is he? Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I needed a vote for the agenda addition.
Machine not. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, okay, yes, thank,
We're doing it vocally.
He's just doing a verbal vote.
Just a verbal.
yeah, we're just doing a roll call vote on the agenda addition. And then Commissioner Gage Watts, not with us yet. Commissioner Taliaferro,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus,
Yes.
and Commissioner Epperson.
Yes.
And Commissioner Jackson, did you want to cast a vote on an agenda addition?
What is the agenda addition?
It's about zoning.
It's a zoning ordinance.
It's a zoning, it's just a rezoning.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's fine.
All right, that motion carries with 10 in support, 2 absent.
All right, thank you, Mr. Everson.
And that brings us to citizens' comment.
I don't have any over here. Deputy Nation, do you have some over there?
No, sir.
No? Okay.
Okay, we'll move through then to visitors. I'm not aware of any.
Okay, I have none either.
Okay, then reports, the administrator report. I believe they had a few items.
That's right.
That the administration.
Dr. Wilson, when you give the report, will you give the update that you typed up about the information for the chambers and the protocol?
Oh, yes, sir.
About speaking with the mask and.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon, Doctor.
Did everybody receive a copy of the protocol for conducting business in the chamber? Did anybody get this copy of the protocol for conducting business in the chamber? Yeah, we all good. Oh, okay. In the audience, everybody must wear a mask. Mr. Sills, I'll make sure you get a copy of this, sir, in a few minutes. I'm trying to get you a mask as well. We're not going to get into whether a shield is a mask is a mask. And the bottom line in this 3-page document, without going all the way through it, is you must have your mask on at all times while you're in the chamber. And there are a set of protocols in here already that talks about that. We have biohazard filters installed in the supply air grills. And this week we will have the desktop biohazard filters coming into the chamber this week. It should be here in a couple of days. Okay, so we've taken every precautionary measure we can to ensure everyone's safety while they're in the chamber. Okay, if you have a question about any of the things on this 3-page document, please let me know. Okay, I still have the floor. Yes, sir. Commissioner.
Does that apply to everyone in the chamber also?
Yes, sir.
Mask?
Everybody.
Okay, what, oh, the gentleman over here has the face shield, I see it now.
Yes, sir. We're
Thank
getting him
you.
a mask right now. We're getting him one. Everybody
mask?
must have a mask on to be in the chamber.
Does he have one?
We'll say he has a shield, but we're getting him a mask.
He got one.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Commissioner Severs. I appreciate it, sir. But that's everybody who's in the chamber must have a mask on and keep it on at all times.
One
Yes, sir.
more question. I see a lot of people just have it around their lip. Aren't you
Yeah.
supposed to have your mask over your nose?
Yes, sir. It's advised to have the mask covering your mouth and your nose.
Okay.
So, commissioners, please cover your mouth and your nose, please, sir. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I need a bigger man.
To ensure your safety as well as others in the chamber, please have the mask completely covering your nose and mouth, please. Thank you. Any other concerns or questions about the protocol?
You might want to let the public know about after the meeting as well.
Okay. Okay, we'll make copies available to everybody to get a copy.
Okay.
Okay. I still have the floor, Commissioner President?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner, the financial report for the month of August should be at your station. Should be, the financial report should be at your stations. Okay, also, the next thing I have, since we are now in phase 3, the entire workforce will be back on the 21st of this month. We are migrating back now fully. We'll be fully back in place on the 21st of September of this month. And we put out a set of protocols for the employees to follow, which still involves wearing your mask and social distancing. It's very important. And we are going to limit our large gatherings. We will continue to have our staff meeting by Zoom meetings for staff reasons. And we'll limit the amount of large meetings that we have with several people involved in the meetings. So every precautionary steps, we will continue to ensure that step, hand sanitizer, the whole 9 yards. Okay,
Dr. Wilson,
I think, yes, sir.
for those who violate that policy, is there, any penalties or anything like that? Because we still have people who are still resisting.
We just will have to ask them to comply or leave the room. But upon your entrance into this building, you must have a mask coming into the building as well. And anybody refuse to observe the protocol, we'll ask them to leave. Okay? Okay, that concludes the comments I have at this present time, President Chavez.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. I see Commissioner Jackson on the board to address the administration.
Yes, thank you, and welcome back, everybody. Let me
Welcome back.
first start by saying, well, I'll ask my question that I ask all the time, Dr. Wilson.
Yes,
This
sir.
was to tell me a story. What story would it be telling? I see some entities saying that they may be going bankrupt, and I hear
Entities?
a national debate about. So what we got here?
This is our monthly
we-
income.
Are we down? Are we up? 'Cause
Okay.
the last sales tax report I saw looked like we were doing pretty good.
Okay. Ms. Haley, you want to give us a snapshot? Do you have one available to sign?
Sure.
Just a quick, if it was talking to me, what would it say?
Currently, expenses are, as they should be. Revenues are down, trending downward a little bit. Sales taxes are down. Video poker is down. Riverboat obviously is down. Oil and gas is currently down. But nothing substantial that we can't overcome. I was trying to access my file, but I think sales tax is about 10% down right now. Riverboat's down around 30-something%. Video poker is just slightly down, nothing significant. but, you know, overall, the parish is in, because of our fund balances that we've built over the years, the parish is in good standing right now.
And do you predict we'll realize some savings from not having to travel as much, not having to, you know, expend as much
We will
in
notice savings for travel, which is a minor,
travel,
expense
I
to
think,
begin
like,
with, but it will be, we won't have any travel this year, and we'll see some savings, as far as, some utilities, because the buildings, you know, were closed for a little bit of time.
what about supplies, or did that
And
increase?
supplies, you'll see some change, significant change in supplies as well.
So y'all can shift some stuff around, kinda in a budget, kinda
Well,
stuff
if it's
to,
necessary, but we'll
You don't
probably
think that
just
is
leave
needed?
things as they are.
you don't think that that's needed? Okay, all right,
Yeah.
well, I appreciate it. I also wanna say, thank you, Dr. Wilson, to you and your team for, the way, we've continued to operate, throughout this pandemic. The bills stayed paid, the lights stayed on. When a natural disaster hit, we were able to respond. And just because we were not here physically, doesn't mean that we were not, the work of Caddo Parish was not being done. So appreciate you and your team for the work that y'all did throughout this, and appreciate the president as well for his flexibility and his leadership during this particular time. I just want to say I appreciate the document. It was very thorough. I guess a military person put it together, or a former military person put it together. I would just suggest that we probably post it
Yes, sir.
online, and maybe send it to the clerk to post it on our agenda, just like we would post a certificate
Okay.
of teleconference. That way, the public is notified of what the expectations are
Yes, sir.
for our meeting, so when we send the meeting out, the public is attached, is linked to the document.
Okay.
But other than that, I thought it was very thorough. And if we have to work on enforcement, I know sometimes people come down and the crowd gets big, and so if we have to get the deputies or the city marshals or whoever to enforce compliance, that's what we'll do. But thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
That's it
Yes,
for
sir.
me. Thank you, Mr. President.
Dr. Wilson.
Yes, sir. Commissioners, I did attach on another subject, a letter from me to you all, asking you all for your consideration and letting us move forward with demolishing the old Fort Wade facility out in Keithville. That facility is currently have a lot of problems with dilapidation and also mold, and is really frankly not worth putting any money into it at this point. The last estimate we got a couple of years ago was $2 million to bring it back into life safety code requirements. And it's not worth that. It's an old jail. And I think we'd be better off just demolishing it, putting it back to a green space, and call it a day. So I just want to make you aware that I think I gave you a detailed letter expressing that point of view. But I asked for your favorable consideration, and let's move forward, because it's probably the best course of action at this point.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Commissioner Jackson.
Yeah, I do have a follow-up to that as well. That's this. I want to make sure that I appreciate that we're going to tear down a jail. And I think we need to let the world know that we're going to tear down a jail.
Yes, sir. We're gonna tear it down.
The other thing is that I want to make sure that I like the concept, love the concept of green space. I wish we would adapt that process for some other properties that are, and I know the parish doesn't own them, but just in general, I wish people would adapt that, either restore them or just knock them over. But I don't necessarily see why we always feel like we have to build something new. I just want to make sure, though, and I want to get it from you on the record, this will not be something to go out and build a new jail in that existing location. It's not the ground zero for building a new jail, is it?
No, sir, that's not the recommendation coming from administration.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Epperson.
Dr. Wilson,
Yes,
will
sir.
it be in the salvage or scrap value, possibly in metal or anything? We retain those rights.
Okay, I didn't quite hear you, Commissioner.
In the scrap value for salvage, like
Oh, yes, sir.
iron or
Yes.
copper,
Yes, sir.
steel?
Yes, sir.
We'll get that?
Yes, sir, we are.
Okay.
We're gonna use the salvage value to pay for the construction cost to demolish the facility.
Mighty fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Everson. Commissioner Burrell?
Dr. Wilson, will
Yes, sir.
Parish itself be demolishing it, or will?
Yes, sir, we're gonna get a contractor to demolish it. We have a lot of razor wires out there that is very dangerous to deal with. And we've already sought a contractor that would give us a pretty favorable deal for the salvage value of the material, which will be very minimum cost to us.
But we haven't generated a cost of demolition.
But, the last part of it,
I said we haven't generated a cost for demolition.
very, very small cost.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner Burrell. I see no other commissioners on the board for questions in regarding to administration.
I got one.
Vice President Johnson.
Dr. Wilson.
Yes, sir.
How's the process with the monument removal going?
Very, very, very well, sir. I'll have Attorney Frazier give you an update on the progress of that. Attorney?
Commissioner, we've had lengthy discussions with the consultant. We've had lengthy discussions with the consulting contractor, and the purchasing department is in the process of preparing the proposal.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Epperson.
Ms. Frazier, I got a call just before I got in. Someone mentioned this little plaque or monument or something. So everything related to that rebel monument will go, right? That's
That is
in front of
correct.
that
Yes,
courthouse.
sir.
That's correct.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Vice President Johnson.
Dr. Wilson.
Yes, sir.
Have we heard from Stu Lickner or Ono on the General Motors facility lately?
We had a meeting with the IDB board we had a meeting last week, but a couple of months ago, we did have a discussion with Mr. Lickner as well as Uno and others, talking about a prospect for the General Motors plant that they were pursuing.
Okay.
So it is currently actively ongoing, and we did talk to them about a month or so ago.
Okay. What about money owed the parish through the IDB on like the Libby Glass with the layoffs and also the steel plant?
Yes, sir. We had a meeting last was it Friday morning, and Libby has come back with a counter offer to the IDB, and the IDB is going to counter that offer. So they're going back and forth negotiating a counter offer for the distribution center part of that deal.
Okay. but,
Hopefully, we'll ultimately end up in it still being open and people being employed out there. I think about 70 employees they were talking about.
Okay. So the negotiation is on the distribution center and not the plant itself.
Yes, sir.
As
That's
far
correct.
as the taxes owed back.
That's correct.
Okay. What about the steel plant?
To what?
The steel plant, Bentley Steel.
Oh,
They had layoff too.
yes, sir. I think, far as I know, they are trying to restructure their debt. Is that correct, Nana?
I'm not sure, but Bentley Steel did not have a pilot. I think
Oh, it was
if
on
my
Bentley Steel, I'm
recollection
sorry. Talk about it.
serves, we built a road. We did not have a job requirement on them from this body.
I thought it was, but you might want to check.
Okay.
Yeah, we will.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay.
All right, thank you, VP.
Thank you, Don. I thought we were still talking about.
All right. I have no other commissioners on the
Okay,
board.
all right.
Our clerk, commissioners, asked that when we speak, that you speak closer to the mic.
Yeah, if I can hear you.
Just because it's hard to pick up wearing the masks.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Everson, moving along.
All right, that brings us to commission remarks, communiques, reports, and other items related to the work session agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Everson. VP Johnson.
Thank you. Haley, on my NGO spreadsheet, I would like to try to get that this week if possible so I can start looking at it so that we'll have it for the committee meeting and the committee members can look at it before the meeting itself.
All right.
And basically the columns I need is the organization, the requested quantity, what they got last year, and if they got something the year before. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President. Commissioner Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just had a couple of comments here. I wanted to recognize our fellow commissioners for their patience and understanding and even opposition to meet remotely for the betterment of everyone and everyone's welfare, especially African Americans that has been disproportionately affected by this virus. But also that you also recognize the CDC guidelines in which we were following. And it actually let me know that you actually have compassion for your fellow comrades despite political positions, and I congratulate you for it. That's the first thing, Mr. President. The second thing, I want to thank Dr. Wilson and staff for the meeting attendance protocol, and also our commission staff for adjusting for our Zoom meetings. I understand it was more difficult than usual, but they stepped up to the plate and did what they needed to do in order to fulfill their duties so that we can fulfill ours. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner Burrell. Commissioner Epperson.
Dr. Wilson, could you have someone to, I don't know if that's Chuck Wilson, either in the permits department, to check out 6818 Santa Monica Boulevard, 71119. There's a structure going up in the back of that home and want to make sure that they are permitted. Oftentimes people live in the rural area feel as though they don't have to get proper permits.
Okay. Yes, sir, we will.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Epperson. I see no other commissioners on the board. Mr. Everson?
Okay, before we move on, let me share the note that, and remind you all that the commission will sit as the Tax Board of Review on Thursday, September 17th during our regular commission meeting. So that being said, we will move on to President's report.
Thank you, Mr. Everson. Commissioners, welcome back to work. It's great to see everybody. It's a lot easier, obviously, to operate in the chamber than via Zoom, but most people have already sat around this horseshoe. Thank you to the staff and thank you to each other. We obviously had a hard time, but we made it through together, so it's good to see all you guys. Commissioner Everson, I love the shirt. And welcome back, and thank you guys for coming today. Mr. Everson?
Okay, that brings us to old business, and our first item under old business. Now, if I'm going too fast, you'll just let me know because we do have a lot of old business here. So let's see, we'll start with the first. It's to authorize the introduction of number 5969 of 2020, an ordinance amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the general fund and capital outlay fund for the year 2020, and to provide an appropriation to conduct a feasibility study for a regional juvenile center, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Do we need a motion, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
So moved.
The chair will second. We have a motion by Commissioner Epperson, seconded by the chair to move to Thursday.
Burrell.
I'm sorry.
It's the other Epperson, Mr. Chairman.
You guys are even deeper with masks on.
I know.
All right. I see Commissioner Young on the board.
Did anybody want to speak on the motion? Did he say no? You don't. Oh. So I had a question, Mr. President, and it may be the administration who can answer it best. I heard, I forgot from what source, that some of the partners, the governmental partners that we expected from Bossier Parish were maybe not or no longer committed to the regional juvenile center, and I wondered what kind of basis that had, and whether, in light of that, if it's true, it's worth doing a feasibility study at all.
That is correct, Commissioner. Dr. Wilson, I see you on the board. If you'd like to give a quick update before we vote, please do so.
Yes, sir. Commissioner, once again, we had several meetings with the Bossier Parish Police Jury Administration, and they took it before their actual board, and the board decided not to go forward with the regional concept at this time. So I would suggest to you all this is probably not needed in light of the fact that a regional idea cannot be achieved without regional partners.
Commissioner Young, you still have the floor unless you yield back to the chair.
I'm finished, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Atkins.
So, Dr. Wilson, I couldn't hear everything you said there, but are you recommending that we not pursue this path at this current time?
That's correct, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Question, Dr. Wilson. Although Bossier may not participate, we don't have any other regional partners, or we were just depending on Bossier?
No one else in the region has expressed an interest to partner with us. So they were the main player in this whole equations. So since they are backing out, I think we ought to consider another approach other than the regional approach.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner Burrell. Vice President Johnson.
Make a substitute motion to remove from the agenda.
Second.
All right, got a motion by Commissioner Johnson and second by, I think it was everybody, but we'll do Commissioner Taliaferro to remove from the agenda. I would just like to make one comment really quick on that. Dr. Wilson, are we still going to investigate getting our capacity issues in order?
Yes, sir. We have several other things we're looking at right now.
Okay.
And we've been working closely with Commissioner Gage Watts
Okay.
to other options that we will be bringing forth at the appropriate time.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson.
You're welcome, sir.
Mr. Everson, go ahead and put the vote up. I'm sorry, Commissioner Burrell, did you want to speak before we voted?
One other question. Did Bossier express a reason why they did not want to participate, or is something that cannot be discussed here?
They didn't give me the details. I would say that they did not have a driving and compelling reason to do it, because right now they have a pretty cheap option on achieving their objective, and they have an out service that they use, and they didn't want to go through the expenditure of building a new facility and increasing operating costs when they can get it for a lot less than that.
Sounds reasonable. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Everson?
Okay, your voting station should be working again.
Perfect.
So you should be able to use your typical vote, but let's be careful because we did have to recalibrate it. So if you would, after you cast your vote, take a look up here, make sure it looks right.
All right, Commissioners?
Mr. President, let's make sure everybody knows that we're voting on.
Right, we're voting on the substitute motion to remove from the agenda. So since this is the first time voting electronically, let's try and make sure that your calibration is working correctly.
Okay, that looks like that motion carries with 10 in support and 2 absent.
All right.
And that brings us to authorize introduction of ordinance number 5970 of 2020, an ordinance amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the capital outlay fund and the oil and gas fund to provide an appropriation for body cameras for law enforcement and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I'd like to make a motion to pull this from the agenda.
Second.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Reason being is they received their allocated funding that they were looking for. Obviously, this has been sitting on the agenda for about 2 months. They achieved their funding goal of $200,000 about a month ago. So,
That's good.
Private sources. Laura.
yes, sir. Commissioner Epperson.
I'd like to make a substitute motion that we contribute $10,000 to the Shreveport City Marshal Departments to help them in their body cameras.
Second.
Got a substitute motion by Commissioner Epperson and a second by Commissioner Burrell.
Earl Epperson.
All right, Commissioner Epperson, would you like to speak on that motion?
Marshal Caldwell came down and spoke to us, and they have been religiously using their body cams that they have in effect now. And he stated that they are going to upgrade to a lot better system. And I noticed I know when Shreveport come down, I thought I heard the chief to state that they had 90 and 41 of them was out of commission. So that almost tells me something, you know what I mean? As much problem we've been having with situations relative to law enforcement and interacting with a person that they are interacting with, that you wouldn't want to have those cameras working. So Marshal Caldwell is getting a lot better one in place, and I'd like for us to allow that $10,000 to help them with their situation.
Thank you, Commissioner Epperson. Commissioner Young.
Thank you, Mr. President. My question was just, is $10,000 the right amount of number to give to the city marshal for this, or do they need more? Do we have any info about the budget that they're looking for?
Commissioner Young, I actually have no idea. I can get with Marshall Caldwell before the Thursday's meeting, but I'm unaware of.
If I may?
Yes, sir.
I've been speaking with Marshall Caldwell, and he'd appreciate anything that we could contribute.
Okay. Commissioner Taliaferro.
Yeah, my only addition would be for the marshal to actually give us a needs, so we can actually satisfy those needs appropriately. It may be that his needs exceed the $10,000, and I want to be. And if we're going to vote for something, I want to make sure that we, get everything that marshal feels that he needs during the upgrade of the current system.
Thank you, Commissioner Taliaferro. Commissioner Burrell.
Mr. President, I was just going to say that I agree with Commissioner Taliaferro. If we have law enforcement agencies that are doing the right thing, I think we need to encourage it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Commissioners, I tried to allocate the $10,000 for the initial investment in the SPD. Reason being is they had no cameras. Obviously now we have a different scenario with a substitute motion. I do like Marshall Caldwell a lot, and I like what he's doing. He does have cameras, so I think I will like to yield my vote and wait to hear from Marshall Caldwell on his budget restraints or his needs. Just because I was wanting to help our local law enforcement that did not have an opportunity to have the body cameras. And now we're obviously in a crossroad where we're going to be helping another entity upgrade their current system that they already have, as opposed to helping a local law enforcement get a system that they don't have. But of course, this is our democracy, and this is how we vote. Commissioner Parliamentarian Atkins.
Mr. President, I was just going to point out that we can forward this on to Thursday, and between now and Thursday, we can get with Marshall Caldwell and figure out the right number. If maybe my colleagues, maybe that'd be a solution for my colleagues to get on board with. Thank you, sir.
Very amendable. Attorney Frazier.
I just wanted to point out that it can be forwarded as is, but you all will have to make amendments at final passage to see that it goes to the marshal's office instead of the city police department and constables. So please keep that in mind.
Thank you, Attorney Frazier. Commissioner Taliaferro.
Since we're talking about public safety and that of our law enforcement personnel, I would like to actually inquire about the needs of the other smaller agencies within our own parish, because obviously a smaller city is going to have budget constraints, and they may not be able. I don't know what Oil City has. I don't know what Vivian has. So if we're going to do something for one, I think we should kind of bring it to the table for the needs of our smaller agencies within our parish. So I'd like to reach out to the Chief of Police of Oil City, Vivian, and so forth, to see if they have any needs as far as body cameras go, if we're actually going to attack this issue.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Jackson.
I actually like to make a motion based on what we just heard, is to amend the substitute motion to keep it the same and just move it forward until we can, I guess, get some feedback. So keep it at the same amount and just move it forward.
Commissioner, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said, based on what we just heard, I'd actually like to make an motion to amend it back to the 20,000 or 25, keep it the same, just move it forward until we know what the number is at final passage. We got 2 weeks to mull it over.
I think the original motion was 10,000, but for the SPD as opposed to the marshal's office. So you just want it updated to the marshal's office as opposed to SPD?
No, I'm saying just keep it where it is and just move it forward.
Okay.
And then at final passage,
Okay.
we can delegate whether it's the marshal or somebody said the smaller, and just keep it where it's at instead of going up and down, up and down.
All right. The chair will accept that. So second. Would you like to speak on that motion?
No, I just think that it makes sense instead of going up and down, up and down. I think was it Commissioner Talaferro just said he didn't know what the needs were for the smaller areas.
I don't, and they may
And
have.
you got Commissioner Epperson who wants to do something for the city marshal, so we may end up right back where we at that point. So I just think just move it forward as is.
All right, Commissioner Hopkins?
If it's allowable, I'd like to make a substitute motion to send to committee, and let's find out what we need as far as the marshal's office and any of the
Second that.
small communities. Some of those small communities have dedicated taxes for police.
I'll
So,
second that motion.
but there are some that do not.
Just saying it's a long range
All right.
plan.
We got motion and a second. Commissioner Burrell?
Just a point of information, Mr. Chairman, some of those small entities or communities, I think we need to know whether they even have an interest in cameras. Because, you know, cameras has been such a political issue. Some do, some don't. We don't control those entities.
That's a great point, Commissioner Burrell. I think committee would be great to investigate that. Commissioner Epperson?
I'm lost.
All right, I'm up. Call for the question.
Second.
All right, question has been called. Please vote.
It might come back more than 20.
All right, and that passes unanimously with who's in the chamber. Will be voted on Commissioner Jackson, second by Commissioner Commissioner Hopkins.
Could you
to,
clarify?
I'm sorry?
Repeat the motion.
Sure,
Repeat it.
absolutely. Send to committee. And which committee did you choose? Long range?
Well, I think it goes to special needs and long range because it does speak about constables, justice of the peace, and things like that. So,
Perfect. Okay.
Mr. Johnson needs more work.
All right. Please vote. That passes 7-1. All right, moving along, Mr. Everson.
Could you restate that vote? It didn't
Sure.
pick up the.
9-1.
9-1. That's what I thought. Okay, sorry, I didn't think I heard you right the first time. So we are on to authorized introduction of ordinance number 5972 of 2020. It's an ordinance amending the Caddo Parish personnel policy to require that all parish employees hired, appointed, or promoted.
Move to withdraw from the agenda.
Second.
All right, got a motion to withdraw by Vice President Johnson, second by Commissioner Hopkins. Vice President, would you like to speak on that motion?
No.
All right. I see no further comments on the board. Mr. Everson, please vote.
We're voting on the motion to withdraw, correct?
Yes.
Yes,
And that passes 10 with 2 out of the chamber.
Okay, and that brings us to resolution number 59 of 2020. It's a resolution recognizing.
Move to withdraw.
Second?
I got a motion to withdraw by Commissioner Epperson, second by, was that Commissioner Burrell?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Epperson, would you like to speak on that motion?
Purple Heart Day has passed.
All right.
August the 2nd.
All right, I see no comments on that. Commissioners, please vote. That passes 10 with 2 out of the chamber.
Okay,
Move along.
resolution number 60 of 2020 is a resolution urging and requesting the United States Senate to pass the Voting Rights Advancement Act of 2019 and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Move for advance to
Second.
Thursday.
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Epperson, second by Commissioner Burrell. Commissioner Epperson, would you like to speak on that motion?
No, sir.
I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor or sponsor. I don't see anybody down as a sponsor for it, but I'd like to be added as a.
So you would you mind co-sponsoring?
One.
You co-sponsor?
I don't see a sponsor down, but whoever sponsored, I'd like to co-sponsor.
Same here.
Anything I put down, anyone is welcome to get on to it.
All right. Mr. Everson, will you let the record reflect that Commissioner Epperson, Commissioner Jackson, and Commissioner Burrell are sponsors on this?
I will.
Thank
Throw me
you.
on that too.
And Commissioner Vice President Johnson.
Yes, and actually, in the first time we published this, we did have the sponsors, if it's, and it had everybody who was just listed, so
Okay.
I'll put that down.
All right, I see no discussion. Commissioners, please vote.
Move to Thursday.
That moves forward with 6-4.
All right, and that brings us to resolution number 67 of 2020, a resolution requesting the Secretary of State to authorize adding 3 additional early voting locations throughout Caddo Parish and otherwise providing with respect thereto from Commissioner Epperson.
Move forward to Thursday.
All right, got a motion from Commissioner Epperson, second by Commissioner Burrell. Commissioner Epperson, would you like to speak on that motion?
Yes, it doesn't appear as though we're going to get an early voting, a new early voting site, prior to this November 3rd election. And as I tried to state in earlier meetings, I think it would be wise for us to look forward to getting 3 more additional sites. And for 2021, we've already been approved for this 1 site for 2020. So therefore, if those are approved, then we will have 4 sites that we can have. And I think we could geographically station them where everyone will be satisfied with the location, and it will be a needed convenience on behalf of our citizens.
Thank you, Commissioner Epperson. Commissioner Hopkins.
I guess my question is, there's not stating any sites or anything to it, so it's awful open-ended right now.
It is.
Should we actually look at some sites and put that in there, or Mr. Epperson?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I think what we do, let's get the authorization to get them first, and then once we'll have plenty of time to find out sites and plenty of time to get them in place.
Okay, because I think to do this, we've got to go with a bill to the legislature.
That's correct.
So will we have to name those places when
No.
we go
It'd
to
be
the
wise
legislature?
not to at this point, and get the authorization like Commissioner Epson is saying.
Okay.
Then you all can decide, once you get the authorization, what locations that may be.
Okay. Okay, that's what I need
It
to
would,
know.
it would move it on faster than us debating the sites.
And let's bear in mind too, now we got the pocketbook.
Yeah.
Right.
Parliamentarian Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. I agree with Commissioner Epperson on this motion. Obviously, it was difficult to find a common location when we were talking about just 1. So I think having the opportunity to have more dispersed locations will allow us to get over that hurdle and move forward. So I'd be supportive of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Commissioner Jackson.
Yeah, I'd like to add an amendment to add the legislature, request the legislature, because it's got to be a legislative act,
Yeah,
not the
yes.
Secretary.
To do what now?
I'd like to make amendment to add the legislature to this, because it's got to be a legislative act.
Well, I think the body of it says that, doesn't it? That's where it has to go first, right, Ms.
Yes.
Frazier?
That's
Yeah,
correct.
but it's not in there.
Request the Secretary of State, is what it says, I believe.
Oh, excellent. Legislature.
So yeah, my motion is to add the legislature and to send it to our delegation, our legislative
Second.
delegation.
Oh, Secretary of State.
I'll second that if it's not in there,
Well,
but
it's
can we
not.
check? I'm trying to pull it up right now.
I've got it right here.
Okay.
Louisiana Secretary of State, I'm just scanning it,
Yes,
but I
there's
don't
nothing
see
about
the
legislature.
legislature mentioned in the current resolution.
That's correct, I don't see that. You can request the Secretary of State all day, but the legislature got to approve it. Well, it's gotta go. It's just, it's not a trick question or a trick amendment.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Ms. Frazier, you know how to craft it, right? You know the procedure?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying, just add the legislature.
Commissioner Epperson, would you accept that as a friendly amendment?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Burrell.
Just a point of information, Mr. Chairman, a clarification. Given the fact that we just got an additional site approved, I assume, by the legislature, there was no designated location in that, so we're not setting any new precedents.
That's correct.
Okay, well, that's the clarification.
All right, I see no other commissioners on the board. Please vote. This is to move to Thursday with the
friendly
amendment, the friendly amendment. That passes with 10 and 2 out of the chamber.
All right, that brings us to this, first of your next 5 are special proclamations, or special resolutions. The first one is a special proclamation proclaiming August 2nd, 2020 as Abdul Temple number 94 Charter Day.
Move to englobo and send to Thursday's meeting.
Second.
I'm sorry, what are you in
To englobo all special proclamations,
That's
special resolutions and proclamations.
10.7, 10.8, 10.9, 10.10, and 10.11.
Yeah. Yes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I think
All right.
Commissioner Epperson gave it a second.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Hopkins, second by Commissioner Lazarus to englobo and advance all the proclamations. Commissioner Johnson, I have you on the board. Okay.
I was going global, but.
Commissioners, please vote. That forwards with 10 and 2 out of the chamber.
Okay, that brings us to new business. The first item under new business is authorize the introduction of ordinance number 5981 of 2020. It's an ordinance amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the capital outlay and the oil and gas fund to provide an appropriation for the construction and improvements of Blanchard watered lines that serve unincorporated areas within Caddo Parish and the Beldegill water system, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Move to introduce.
Second.
Commissioner Hopkins makes a motion to introduce, second by Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Hopkins, would you like to speak on your motion?
Yes, sir. First, I'd like to say a couple words, and if possible,
Absolutely.
since we have the mayor here, and he actually sent in a request, letter as we had asked in the past, just to give him 3 or 4 minutes to speak on the project. But this is another opportunity for us to provide water out to I-49 in rural Caddo Parish. And I don't know if you saw the paper today where it talked about water and the importance. And it was kind of funny to see that because it was kind of in conjunction. St. Joseph was a town that had terrible water and had a lot of problem, and the governor set up a new program for that money to help these rural areas. And I think this year, Blanchard has been able to tap into that same program. And so this is a combination not only of this body, but the state, the Beldegill system, and the town of Blanchard. So I ask for your support on this. And if you'd allow the mayor just a few minutes, please.
Absolutely. I have, any commissioners have any opposition to allow the mayors to come up and speak? Pass by acclamation. Thank you, mayors. Thank you for coming down.
Thank you. I'm Jim Galambis. I'm the mayor of Blanchard. As Commissioner Hopkins stated, we applied for the loan program through the DHH with the state back last July. This is a forgivable loan program that takes a water system that is failing with a lot of fines and presents it to a water system that's very successful. And the state will fund the entire project. And what we've done is we've gotten accepted. We've been to the bond commission, and so we're in fact we're out to bid right now. This will be a huge economic development project in our area, just from the construction standpoint. The lines that the state has approved to get to the Beldegill water system, we are proposing to upsize them so that there's future development in the corridor between Blanchard and the Beldegill-Dixie area on I-49, which right now there's no development going on whatsoever because there's no water in that area. So what this proposal does is this gives the parish the chance and the opportunity to just pay the cost of upsizing, whereas the state's going to pay the cost of construction, and the cost of construction for this total project will be $3.7 million.
That's awesome. Thank you.
So it's a win-win for not only Beldegill, it's a win-win for Blanchard, and it's going to be a win-win for the entire North Caddo area if the commission so approves.
Mayor, I have a couple of commissioners on the board that would like to ask you a couple of questions if you'll
Sure.
entertain. Commissioner Epperson?
Mayor, okay, are we like fronting this amount that I see here, and then once it's in place, you all have applied for something that we will be reimbursed at some point in time? Or am I getting it wrong?
No, sir. This is the parish's opportunity to upsize the line so that developers and any economic development within the route from on I-49, that whole area, can have growth. Without upsizing the lines, there will be no development because our lines will be dedicated only to the Belch and Dixie area. But with the commission's funding, we can upsize those lines to a 20-inch line in some areas and 18s in the other, and we can provide water to any developer, any new subdivisions. And we've had meetings with Dr. Wilson. Starting last year, we started those about taking over some water systems in there. I also talked to Commissioner Johnson about this topic.
Dr. Wilson, you remember a while back when that aquifer got so low and we did something for
Yes, sir, in
South
2010.
Caddo Parish?
Yes, sir, in 2010.
You're right.
We passed a-
Will this be similar, or what was that?
No, sir, you passed an ordinance that allow citizens who live close to the city water system
Right.
to gain access to it, and the parish would pay a portion of that work, that
Right.
cost, long as the majority of the citizens in that community sign up for it. This is slightly a little bit different. The $3.7 million that the Blanchard was able to get will help extend the distribution of the service out into the northern part of the parish. But what they were asking for is, while we're here at this point, it would make sense to upsize the line size so that we can extend beyond what they intended to do, but that would be an extra $1 million to do it. And that's what they were saying right now. It's cheaper to invest $1 million than to go and do a whole project and invest like $4 or $5 million in a project that will do the same thing. So, but this goes back to Commissioner Epperson. A few years ago, we did a water study of the whole parish. We spent about $670,000 working with the Shaw Group out of Baton Rouge, along with Bossier Parish, to provide water from the Solar Parish all the way up to Arkansas. So over that time, we had made systematic investments in the system to help expand that capability towards I-49. This is yet another opportunity to do the same thing.
Okay, and
I'd
also when
like
we
to-
did the Veterans Cemetery, we paid, what, about $250,000 to tie into the soda water to get,
Yes, sir.
because it was not
Yeah,
that.
North, the Solar Parish water system provided water for that area.
That's all.
Yes,
I'd also like to remind the commission that back in 2015, Blanchard took the risk and built a $17 million water plant. Right now, we're capable of producing 5 million gallons of water a day, of which we only use 2.4 million. So we've got plenty of capacity. We've also got redundancy built in where we can expand the plant to 10 million in the event that more people up in North Caddo decide to hook into it.
That's right.
Yeah, okay. I have a couple of questions. You answered one of them, which was the total cost of the project. I think the project is good, based upon that it will develop the rural area and hopefully more development, which will mean more houses, more commercial properties on the tax roll. But I would like to have some type of, over a period of time, that as people add on to the system, then you pay the parish back. What I'm looking at is basically when people add on the systems, there's some type of fee that they have to pay to add on to the system, and that some of that portion will come back to the parish. And over a period of time, that the system will actually pay itself back to the parish, and then we'll be able to reinvest that same $1.1 million into something else in the future, instead of it just leaving out and not really coming back, other than tax revenues that hopefully will come back. But I would like to support it based upon that we will get some payback off of the system based on fees or some type of percentage over a period of time. Now, when they guaranteed the state, when the state came in and they wanted certain size lines, I'm quite sure that went through some type of engineering study,
Yes, sir.
feasibility study. What was the reason for them saying the 12 and 16-inch lines instead of the 20 and upgrade size?
Based on the engineering analysis, they felt that, in fact, when they first started, they reduced our size lines down to 4 and 8s. And our engineer argued and put up a defense that that's not enough pressure to get all the way up to the Belcher area, that we needed larger lines. We needed 12 and 16-inch lines, and that would provide what we needed. Now, that does not provide enough for additional growth, and the state refused. They do not pay for growth in the future. They pay for what's out there right now. And our engineer felt that the 16 and the 12 and the 8-inch lines that we've got in the plan will be sufficient, and that's what the state finally approved.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, VP. Commissioner Jackson.
You answered my question earlier on.
All right. Commissioner Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to get a clarification here, something that Commissioner Johnson just asked. I guess having spent years on the city council when we were dealing with unincorporated areas, and we had existing facilities that was going near there, that there were some sort of fee assessed to people who would tag on to it, or else it would be unfair to those who were paying for the facilities in the first place. So that was my first question, and I wasn't sure whether we were doing the same thing here, but I think the mayor kind of answered that, Commissioner Johnson's question. And the second thing is, it appears that this is an economic development project, so my question is, why didn't it come out of the Economic Development Committee?
Commissioner, I'm not the author, but I can yield that to the author.
It actually fits 3 different committees: natural resource, economic development, and long range. It kind of deals in all 3 of those committees in a way. I thought if it was important first to introduce, we've got 3 weeks if we need to have a committee meeting, and the president chooses a committee to send it to, and there's more questions, we can have Dr. Ward, who has worked on the water project, the Shaw study and everything for the last 10 years, and he understands the economic payback on those projects. But I thought it was important to go ahead and introduce while they have let for bids. When we meet, we may have the actual number, when we come back, if we're going to go to committee, we may have an actual number that comes in less, we hope, but we don't know yet. And then we can adjust at that time.
Well,
but I thought it was important to go ahead and introduce.
Well, Mr. President, because it is a nominal amount, 1.1 million, I believe is what,
yes, sir.
what I saw on there, and I support the mayor on what he's trying to do, but given the fact that we have had some questions on this, I would suggest that we take it to one of our committees, and since we were talking about an investment, then I think the Economic Development Committee would probably be the most apropos here. It could go somewhere else, but that just would be my recommendation off the top.
And I'm sorry, Commissioner Brown, I didn't hear you. Which committee did you recommend?
I said Economic Development.
Okay.
Do I need a mo?
No, that, Commissioner.
I want to support the mayor, but the mayor know that we are, we are administering the people's money. And I know that Commissioner Atkins, I was surprised he wasn't on top of this. But anyway, I'm doing it for you, fellow Commissioner.
I hadn't seen it.
He's next in the queue. We'll get his opinion on this.
Okay.
Commissioner, Parliamentarian.
I'll make a motion that we move this to Economic Development Committee for consideration.
Second.
All right, second by VP. Would you like to speak on that?
I think Commissioner Burrell made a good point. I would like to better understand, Mr. Mayor, before we vote on this matter, do you envision your future demand being industrial, commercial, residential? What's driving this future demand?
Well, sir, right now, what's driving the demand is the fact that Blanchard had the opportunity to serve another area and take over a failing water district and bring good, sustainable water to those citizens up there. There's approximately 325 residential hookups right now. We will only be hooking up those areas that are on the Beldegill water system as of currently. The presentation, the proposal to the commission is to take advantage of the fact that the state is going to provide $3.7 million, whereas in the future, if the parish wants to increase water lines for development, it's probably going to cost closer to $5 million, because once the water lines are in, they're in. You can't upsize them anymore. This is just an upsizing. We're going to get to Beldegill. We're going to start construction hopefully November the 1st. We're out to bid with some alternates with some different line sizes, and that's why we approached Commissioner Hopkins to put this on the agenda to give the parish the opportunity right now. It is economic development for the future, because right now there is no development outside of Blanchard at all for houses that are going up, large subdivisions or businesses, and it's because there's no water, and there's not good water. Well water doesn't work up there. We've got the president of the Beldegill water system here to verify, he can validate that you can't put in a subdivision with wells. The state's not going to allow it. They're not going to allow separate water systems. The state is very excited about this project because it eventually will loop into Oil City. We'll have a loop going around, and not knowing too much about water and engineering, but that's a very good thing to have, is a loop. They're also talking about us going as far as the Arkansas border with our water eventually. Yeah. They're very excited about our project.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate all that. So if I try to garner an answer to my question out of your reply, it's mostly residential development that you're anticipating in the future using this water?
Yes, sir. We would like for the future to grow our system up there if the parish so allows it. But for right now, we're going to be helping out a smaller, struggling water system. Okay. And part of that water system, there's a school up there, Herndon Magnet, that I believe, Dr. Wilson, you were in the parish, they close about anywhere between 3 and 4 times a year.
That's correct.
Because they don't have water.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Parliamentarian. Mr. Mayor, this, please don't leave just yet. Got a couple more questions.
Okay.
The, this ordinance, how soon does this need to take place for the parish of Caddo to allocate these funds to ensure that this project will come to completion?
I think we're going to get started November the 1st, sometime in November. Bids are due back September 24th. By the time we award the bids, contractors are not working in North Caddo Parish. They're very anxious to start a new project. I would imagine we're going to start probably by December. Okay. So we're going to bid the alternate, but we have to award it with whatever we come up with. We can change it. I do believe, Todd, you're more familiar with that than I am.
A change order.
Or
change order.
Dr. Ward is. But, as soon as possible so we can get that line size adjusted correctly.
Okay.
Okay?
And then, well, I'll yield my questions. I got a couple more commissioners that are on the board. Commissioner Epperson.
I was gonna call for the question, but
I hadn't gone.
Passing.
I hadn't gone.
Thank you, Commissioner.
We're asking a lot of questions here now that should be addressed in that Economic Development Committee.
Commissioner, that was one main question for the due date or the deadline. Commissioner Jackson.
Okay, let me make my motion first. I'd like to amend the motion to, I think what Todd did is move it forward while simultaneously having the committee hearing. That way we can consider it in committee, but also try to stay within some timeline frames. Is that okay with you, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
For your committee. So that's my
Is that okay with you? Okay.
substitute or
All right.
amendment to the substitute
All right.
motion is to move it forward, but send it to Economic Development Committee.
Perfect. So,
Great.
got a motion on the floor, or substitute motion, to
Second.
move to Thursday. And the chairman has agreed to accept it into his committee, so we'll do further research.
And I just
Seconded
had a
by
question.
Commissioner Hopkins.
But I guess the change order, when we do a change order, if we do a change order, that doesn't allow the losing bidder they won't allow them to bring a case or a cause of action saying y'all
So
changed it up in the middle.
They could bid it as an option also. They could bid it as an option,
Okay,
to upsize the line.
okay. I'm just saying, because what I'm saying is if we miss the deadline and you said you can only put the,
Well, we've bid it as with an alternate in there, for the alternate
Right.
being the increased line size.
okay,
Right.
okay.
So we've covered that.
So you got a
base in
contingency.
that bid.
basically.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
All right, well, I can tell you the state senator called and he's excited about it, and the state representative up there is excited about it. So obviously the state is all in on it, so.
Yeah, get the money.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Hopkins?
I don't need anything else.
All right, Commissioner Taliaferro?
Withdraw my question.
All right. Commissioners, let's vote. Substitute motion by Commissioner Jackson. All right, looks like 10-4, so that moves to Thursday, and Commissioner Atkins will call a Economic Development Committee to further research that. Mayor, thank you for coming down.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I'd
you,
also
sir.
like to take 1 minute to thank Dr. Wilson and his group. During the hurricane, they were very supportive of us. We had a sewer lift station get washed out, and their guys responded on that Thursday and late in the evening to help us repair it. And I'd just like to let everybody know that small towns and small rural communities depend on that, and we've never had any issues with anybody from Dr. Wilson's area. So thank you.
That's what it's all about. Thank
Thank
Doc.
you.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, Mr. Everson, moving along.
Okay, authorized introduction of ordinance number 5982 of 2020. It's an ordinance proposing an amendment to the Caddo Parish Home Rule Charter relative to section 3-07, commission meetings and rules for presentation to the electorate and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Move forward to Thursday.
Second.
All right, got a motion to advance to Thursday from Commissioner Everson. Commissioner Burrell, was that your second?
No, Jackson.
No, that was the other.
Mr. Jackson?
one
Okay.
over there.
Yeah, that was a
Three of
bad
us, you
song.
know.
Love it. Commissioner Everson, did you want to?
Here and again, we're just upgrading our home rule charter. Of course, we've had this pandemic, which was totally unexpected, and I think we always need to keep current with our charter on behalf of our citizens, letting them know whatever arises, that we are quite capable of taking care of the situation.
Thank you, Commissioner Everson. Commissioner Jackson?
Yeah, in the interest of time, I would like to englobo ordinance 5982, ordinance 5983, and ordinance 5984. And, you know, if
Second.
we have to do anything, changes or anything in between now and final, is this just a two reader, or is it three? Or,
Commissioner, it's a two-reader.
okay. And do these have to go to the State Bond Commission to get on the ballot, or we just put them on?
I believe they do have to, but the deadline is October.
Okay, so yeah, just move these forward and let the citizens choose what's the best path forward.
Second.
Who was that second?
But
Yeah, all right,
Long range.
right? All right, I see, Hopkins, did you want to speak on that, Commissioner?
Yes, I would just like to ask that the chairman of the Charter Review Committee come on Thursday. Usually they give us a presentation of what they are suggesting we approve. So since they're here on the agenda, if he would come
I
and
guess
just
they
give a
come in 2
brief.
weeks.
Yep.
Or- Yeah, I would prefer he come Thursday and at least tell us about it and give us a written report if he's got it. And then that way we have 2 weeks before we vote on it.
Okay.
Thank
It's,
you.
Mr. Arsenault. And just for clarification, when is the Zoom meeting to review these?
So, thank you for the opportunity. So you should have received the written version of it. When we were meeting by teleconference, they weren't sure how to give that presentation. So we did provide a written version of their
Okay, I'll go
presentation.
back.
We will invite them to come give a live one on Thursday. But because of the timing that Attorney Frazier mentioned on this deadline to get on the election, you're probably going to have your public hearing and adoption of or consideration of these items in a special teleconference hearing that would happen on October 2nd. So that's just in the future, if these are moving forward, that is when the final consideration of them would be in order to meet that deadline.
We've talked about it, and we have it set for 1 p.m. on that date. So if any commissioners have any conflicts with scheduling, let us know and we'll adjust from there. And we're going to do it via Zoom unless you guys would rather be here.
What date?
October the 2nd.
Can we do
I
it
believe
later?
it's a Friday
It's
at
a
1
Friday.
p.m.
We can do it later.
Point of clarification, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
That October date is when they will make a presentation where we can question.
We're
I
actually
do
going to have our
some questions.
presentation this Thursday.
So
Chairman
we'll be
Arsenault
able-
will
we will
come
be
in
able
and
to
give
bring
us.
our questions on these on Thursday.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, because I do have one on 5983.
You can as
All
long
right,
as.
I see no other commissioners on the board. Please vote.
That's for the Englobo.
In Globo in advance. That moves with 10 and 2 out of the chamber.
All right, now we are at authorized resolution number 70 of 2020. That's a resolution supporting a request for capital outlay funding to upgrade Walter B. Jacobs Park and otherwise providing with respect.
Move to
Move to
authorize.
advance.
Second.
Got a motion from Commissioner Hopkins, second by Commissioner Taliaferro. Mr. Hopkins, you want to speak on that motion?
No, sir.
That was his motion.
That was about Mr. Young, the chairman of the committee.
I thought it was.
Hopkins was in there too
Yeah,
somewhere.
it was.
We tied.
We got a lot of Darth Vader sounding
I'll
commissioners
defer.
over here with these masks on, guys.
You know all y'all look alike.
Commissioner, Vice President Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dr. Wilson, I'm looking at the cost sheet. It seems like this $500 a square foot is pretty high for the building. Quite sure it's gonna be a metal building.
Oh, no, no, no. No, sir. It's gonna be, a mixture of brick, wood, steel. There's not gonna be no fabricated metal building. Have you seen the drawing, sir?
I took a glance of it in there.
Yeah, this is gonna be state-of-the-art, really exceptional structure.
Okay, and what's the payback?
The payback?
Yeah, and how many years?
The payback is much improved quality of life for our citizens in the parish. And we also identify some revenue sources that would help pay for the ongoing maintenance costs of the facility as well.
Okay.
That should be all in the package that you have attached to this resolution.
So, based on projections,
Pardon me?
I'm looking at your projections, so.
Okay.
You projected each year to probably make about $400,000 a year?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
but Commissioner Johnson, there's nothing like it in the state of Louisiana.
Alright,
It's very
so
interactive.
You ought to have the first 5 years, you ought to have real high numbers, and then it'll settle out for a little bit.
I didn't hear what you say.
The first 5 years, since it's gonna be state of the art, nothing like it in the state, we should have good numbers for the first 5
Oh,
years.
yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, all right.
You good?
I'm good.
All right. Commissioner Jackson?
Yeah, I didn't see how much, did I miss how much we are requesting in capital outlay, or we're
Yes, sir.
requesting the
Actually,
entire?
8.7 million, but there may be some matching costs we have to pay. So we are prepared to do that.
So we could ask for 8, but they may say, here's 4 million.
Yeah,
y'all
state
need
will
it.
say, what are you gonna put in?
Okay.
And they may require 20% on our part.
And
And we'll just use capital outlay funds that we have from the bond issue we did.
Okay.
$30 million bond issue we did.
okay, and have we had any conversations outside of have we had any state level conversation?
Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock.
Okay. And are we asking for a particular priority consideration? Because Representative Burrell can attest, they can stick us in at priority 5 and make you think you got some, but you really ain't got much. But you really ain't got much.
Commissioner Jackson, if
So
you want to suggest something,
I mean, I would suggest we at least ask to be in priority 3 or 2. We could at
Okay.
least go out. I think they give you a line of credit in priority 3 or 2. But I get,
yeah, we actually meeting tomorrow morning with Senator Tarver at 10 in the morning.
Okay.
And we can ask for the highest priority that will give us immediate funding.
Okay.
Is that?
I would just, I
Okay.
just think at least 3 get you a line of
2.
credit. Well, 2, I'm
2.
sorry, at least priority 2 gives you a line of credit so you can go out. 'Cause you can send a priority 5 for I don't know how many years.
10 years?
You can sit there and priority 5 and think you got something for 10 years. And
Yeah, that's true. We
you
don't wait
have
that
much.
long.
So, okay,
All right.
good renderings as well.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Atkins.
Dr. Wilson, I've reviewed this material, but I didn't study it in detail. Can you remind me, who is actually the lead on this project? What organization is the lead?
The Caddo Parish Commission, Parks and Recreation Department.
Huh, and we're looking at having 80% state funding?
Pardon me?
We're looking at what, 80% state funding?
Yes, sir.
Have we bid this, have we, you know, it's the first I've heard about the project. How do we know this is the right size and shape and cost, and how do we know that this is the right approach? Was it in committee?
We had a professional engineering architectural firm design this, TBA design this for us.
Did we all discuss with the architectural firm exactly what, I mean, you know, you ask an architect to design something for you, they're gonna design something
Yes,
for
sir.
you that's gonna be big and pretty and interesting and make a big statement.
Yes,
But
sir.
it may be a lot more than what we functionally need to get the job done in a
Well-
nice workmanlike way. How did we,
We,
you know?
we keep pretty good numbers on the attendance with every year. We can tell you how many kids we have for each event, the overall number of people come each year. And we're simply doubling the capacity because we were severely undersized, under capacity. So this is going to give us to replace the antiquated aging facility and double the capacity and put in place opportunities to generate revenue as well. But we did meet with the architect. We currently went over what we currently have, what the shortfalls has been in the existing facility, and we looked at other structures in other states with similar type functions that this will give us, and we thought we were in the ballpark of what we are proposing.
Okay, well, I love the park. It's a great place.
Mhm.
We've gone out, my wife and I go out there on a number of occasions. Whenever I've been out there, it hasn't been that crowded. It seems like this project seems to be scaled up pretty large. I know I'm not a visionary, you know, guys. We've had that conversation before, and sometimes I have to guard against that. But it just seems like it's a bigger building than is needed out there to fulfill the goals and objectives.
Yeah, Commissioner Atkins, I can assure you on several events, we end up busing people into the park because we don't have adequate parking. And we turn down certain events because we don't have enough capacity to even have those events.
But then we could do 2 or 3 individual events that are half the size or a third of the size.
No, sir, I think if we had the right size model and right size capacity, we can provide more services to the community.
I'm sure we could. It's just like it's a
Mhm.
you know,
Yes,
yin
sir.
and yang. It's a balance there. Thank you,
You're
thank
welcome,
you, Mr.
sir.
President.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Young.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was in the committee meeting when the administration proposed this. It seemed that it was very well thought out. The architects had a very advanced vision for how to build a structure that would meet an expanded set of needs and also complement the nature in the park really well. One of the things that I really like about the design is that it's big enough for events that could bring in a profit. So people are often looking for places to have weddings, for instance, and often in the countryside these days. This structure is big enough to have those kind of events, corporate events, in conference rooms, and it seems like that is an expanded set of uses and also an expanded set of revenue possibilities, and so I think it's a good idea. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Young. Vice President Johnson.
Thank you. Dr. Wilson, will there be areas for like the public to rent for like family reunions, receptions, weddings,
Yes,
stuff
sir.
like that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And,
All that's built into it, as well as having perhaps some off-site seminars from various agencies, and also wedding, birthday parties, all that and more.
Okay. And then there's an admission to get in to the facility?
No, sir, there's no admissions unless there's a special event that's taking place that requires it.
Okay. And this is based on starting whenever we get state funding?
Yes, sir. And we've had some prior discussions with our state legislators, and they said, well, you never got any money from us because you never asked for anything. And we thought we had put a decent project forth that's worthwhile, and we think this is it.
Okay. Is there any water in this project? Like a water fountain, little pond, or?
Yeah, I think they're gonna use a lot of natural resources out in the park.
Well, like some water features, so, you know, you got a playground area.
Uh-huh. You mean like the water park?
Yeah, some,
I'm not sure, I don't know if we discussed a water park in this particular scheme, but we can pose that question to the architect and see if it's available.
okay.
We're only limited by money and our imagination.
Yeah, you know, a little bumper, water deal, you know, something, you know.
Okay.
Might as well expand it while we expand it. Just like, Blanchard wanna do with their water, we might well expand it too.
Upsize.
Upsize, yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay, so I got you.
Like a lazy river.
Suicide.
Hey, Dr. Wilson, VP wants that big white slide that's really, really steep, the scary one.
You want a water park, guys?
Yes.
Well, it could be like a lazy river, you know.
I like the lazy river.
Okay.
With
Well,
interactive.
that's certainly something to think about. Yes.
VP, you still have the floor, VP.
I'm done.
Okay. Commissioner Burrell, what would you like there?
Well, matter of fact, I'd like a Taj Mahal.
What I'm talking about.
But if it's a nice facility, I just think from a planning perspective that we should put the additional space there, but it should be compartmentalized so that the overhead won't be so high. I say compartmentalized, meaning that if you got air conditioning or whatever, you can shut that area off. You won't have expenditures coming in, but you still have a facility. I've only been there, I think, once or twice. It's a very nice location, and it could serve as an economic development tool. Thank you, Mr. President.
I always love the way Commissioner Burrell thinks. It's not called cheap, it's cost effective. Dr. Wilson.
So I just had a comment after this discussion is over. I forgot to tell you, I need to give you an update on the safety matter before we end the meeting.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Taliaferro.
Yes, sir. I'm just, I know that we have plans on an aggressive marketing program, maybe through the Louisiana governor's, I guess, a lieutenant governor's office
Yes,
for
sir.
travel and tourism. Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner. Dr. Wilson, last question. I was going to ask you on that 80%. It's pretty awesome that they're willing to pony up the 80% if we're going to come out of pocket the 20.
Yes, sir.
When is the expiration date on those available funds?
What's the what?
The expiration date. How quick do we need to move on this?
I'm not
What's
questioning.
the expiration date on the funds? How quickly do you need to move?
I don't know if there's an expiration date or not, sir. I mean, with regard to our capital projects.
Yes, sir.
It's 3 years. I
Okay.
mean, you know, and as long as we have money, there's no expiration on it until we just decide that you vote on it and go forward with a project. That's when the clock starts.
And I know we're just coming out of the pandemic, and if financially we do have the funds and it is allocated, I would like to see it come to fruition. So,
Okay.
Commissioner Burrell.
Yeah, just one other point, Mr. Chairman. I forgot until they mentioned that. You know, this 80-20 is pretty miraculous compared to some of the others, because normally the state, I think, started to look at 60-40.
Yeah.
So if you got 80-20, you're doing pretty darn good. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner Burrell.
Yeah, we're gonna ask for it.
All right, I see no other commissioners on the board. Please vote.
Bring it on, guys, bring it on.
All right, that passes 10 and 2 out of the chamber.
Okay, your next item is to authorize the appointment of the reappointment of Thomas Michael Irving to Communications District Number 1.
Move to authorize appointment.
Move to englobo the Communication District 1, Sewer District 2.
Second. All right, got a motion by Commissioner Vice President Johnson, second by Commissioner Everson. Commissioner Johnson, would you like to speak on that motion? All right, I see no comments. Please vote.
Attach the stuff to the agenda. They gonna attach
That passes 10 with 2 out of the chamber.
Okay, and your last item is the agenda addition, which is ordinance number 5980 of 2020, the ordinance to amend Volume 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the Parish of Caddo as amended, the Caddo Parish Unified Development Code by amending the zoning of property located on the south side of South Lake Shore Drive and 360 feet east of Jolly Napier Road. Caddo
Move for advancement and improvement on Thursday.
Second.
We had a motion from Commissioner Johnson first, and a second by the president.
Well, it's all right. Commissioner Epperson makes a motion to advance, and Commissioner Johnson will second that. Commissioner Epperson, would you like to speak on that motion?
That's in District 12, I think, right behind South Lake Shore, behind the Caddo Fire District 3 fire station. There was no opposition, so I would recommend approval.
All right.
On Thursday.
I see no discussion. Commissioners, please vote.
Passed.
Passed, yeah. It flipped up there. All right. Moving on, Mr. Everson.
We're at communiques and committee reports.
Commissioners, Commissioner Epperson, I had you on the board when it blinked and took you off. Did you want to speak?
Yes.
Okay.
Dr. Wilson, I did find out that that construction that's going up on Santa Monica, there is no permit in our department, so if that's under Mr. Chuck Wilson's responsibility, if he would go out and check those people out before they get too far gone. Thank you.
6818, right? Okay.
Commissioner Jackson?
Yes, just want to note that individual FEMA assistance was approved, so Dr. Wilson, if we can get the word out.
Yes, sir. We put it on our website.
Okay. If we can put something out and notifying, and if we could let Robert Jump know that, I know the state was gonna try to not do physical locations, but maybe if we can get with the city and utilize Independence Stadium, something where folks can come to, or, but a physical location as opposed to allowing people to depend solely on the internet and trying to navigate the internet and navigate a phone system, but whatever accommodations we can work to make, given the situation at hand. And so I know a lot of people still need that assistance. That's it for me, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't normally ask for a correction on the president's statement, but I wanted to make one here from my perspective. It's not a criticism. It's just sometimes the public will look at it differently than the way it was stated, and I'm sure you didn't mean it that way. You welcome us back to work. With congratulations and salutations, but from my perspective, I never left work. We've always worked. A building doesn't make that for us. We work for our constituents wherever we are. I've had a Zoom meeting, and y'all probably know, but I was out of town. But we took care of business. So I don't want the public to think just because they don't see us in this building under these circumstances that we are not at work. That's the only correction, Mr. Chairman. No insult or anything that I'm intending here. The second thing that I wanted to make mention of is the last meeting that we had, we talked about the broadband survey. And I wanted to, I thought that we said enough. I think you supported it, Mr. President, too, that we get a letter, we get a resolution of support. Dr. Wilson put something together from the commission to support that, because it's a very, very vital project that they're working on in trying to get a survey of broadband in this parish. There's been a lot of articles written about it, the lack of broadband here.
Yeah.
I undertook this probably 20 years ago from the city standpoint to create Wi-Fi sites, towers in the city, but I got shot down by the company that I worked for that said that the government should not be in competition with the private sector. So, but if they had, then we wouldn't be having the problem that we have today for our kids trying to get online and do work in this pandemic. So hopefully we can do something better this time for the welfare of not only the city, but also for the parish itself.
I get you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner, and I'll absolutely accept your advice, as I have for many years. We've been friends for a long time, long before, a lot of people don't know, long before this commission seat. I've taken Commissioner Burrell's, before he was a commissioner's advice, and I'm meek enough to definitely accept. Yes, I did not mean back to work in regards to us not working, but welcome back to the office. Dr. Wilson, I know you want to give us some safety advice.
Yes, sir. Commissioners, we spoke a couple of weeks ago about the West Nile virus, and the state has 8 cases of West Nile virus, and 4 of those cases are in Caddo Parish. We have 3 evasive findings and 1 fever. So those are responses that people have to the virus. We have 4 reported cases of the West Nile virus. So we have our spraying program going vigilantly, and citizens just need to be aware of standing water around their property to get rid of that, and lessen the opportunity for mosquitoes to breed in your areas. But West Nile virus is among us, and it's real.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Commissioners, the parish has these pellets that they put out, and Dr. Wilson's team has been very proactive. If you see a standing water location in your district, call it in, and they'll bring out those pellets to kill the larvae before they produce into mosquitoes. And I've seen it firsthand. They're very effective. They kill the mosquitoes before they turn into mosquitoes. So if you have some citizens complaining about standing water, definitely call it over to the mosquito department.
I'm sorry, what was it? May I interrupt?
Absolutely.
Dr. Wilson, you
Yes.
said 3 cases of blank and then 1 of fever. What were the 3 cases? I couldn't hear what you said exactly. What are the other symptoms?
Neuroinvasive. I mean, it affects the nervous system.
Oh, neural invasive.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, that's how it attacks the body.
Okay.
And then 1 person had 1 fever, but all that resulted from the West Nile virus being present in their system.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Burrell? I see on
Thank
the
you,
board.
Mr. President. I'm glad you mentioned that because it is a situation that really put a thorn in my side, along with a number of different residents that live on my street. We have a drainage spillway. It's not a ditch. It's a spillway that goes into Caddo Lake. The same spillway that the alligator came through to come behind former Lake Commissioner Bowman's house.
Yeah, the concrete ditch.
It's not concrete, no. It's a natural drain.
It's
And what has happened is that all of the silt and drainage from the neighborhoods, including Queensboro, that flows through there, has silted it in. We bought our homes there, thinking that that particular spillway was going to remain open, but since the Marina apartments have been changed to lower income apartments, and they used to have a marina there, they used to have boats there, and it used to stay open. Now, because of the silt that has come into that spillway, I've already had the city one time to come out and just dig out a portion of it behind my house because all of the carts and the bottles and everything stopped behind my house.
Wow.
And secondly, this not COVID, but the
West Nile.
West Nile, I went out and had, well, it was 2 birds that was dead back there, and I I called the parish about it because you can't really, if you spray in the street, it doesn't go back behind the house.
Yeah, that's true.
So we have a situation there, and you have a lot of senior people who still live there, and when the water during the winter goes down, it just puddles, and you have a lot of mosquitoes in that area. So I had talked to the people there to consider taking it to court. But being in government, I would rather work with them rather than trying to go through a legal means. So we have that, so I'm making it public at this point. I've been rather quiet about it. But we have trees that has fallen over into that spillway, but it's blocked. We used to be able to keep the coons out, but they walk across the trees that has fallen over there because nobody want to take responsibility for cleaning it out. So we have an issue there. It may not be the parish. It may wind up being the parish and the city. When I challenged them on it, as a state representative, the Corps of Engineers blamed the city, and the city blamed the parish, and you know how that thing circles. But I did get some work done through the city of Shreveport, but we do need to address that issue. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner Burrell. Commissioners, I see no one else on the board.
Move to adjourn.
Got one more thing. Citizen comment later on.
We got
You got at least say it.
we had citizens' comments. Do we? Yeah, I'd like to let the citizens, if there are any that have any comments, late arrivals. I have none. Okay.
No.
Got a motion to adjourn in a second. All right, guys. See you guys on Thursday.